Hello there, Mr. Chu here with Chu Math. Let's talk about a subject that often causes problems for young elementary students, and that would be subtraction review. Remember, all of these videos I put on a YouTube channel, and you could subscribe to that if you need more math help. So, when you borrow in elementary school, one of the problems you have is you're marking up the paper, but is there an easier way? There is an easier way that you don't have to mark as much on the paper when you borrow. So let me show you how to do that because not every country does it this way. So how do some countries do it? Well, when I was teaching pre-algebra, and I did it for many years, I would teach the students the way that some Chinese are taught. It's a good method to learn. It teaches you algebraic thinking skills. So let's work an example showing you all the marking you do and the way that you're taught, and then we'll work a couple using the new method. So let's just review, and we're going to work a subtraction problem. And it may not be a simple problem for some, but it's something you'd be doing maybe in the second, third grade. 5,621 minus 2,874. Notice all the marks we have to put on the paper when we borrow. There are lots of marks. So the first thing you have to do is you have to borrow, and you're going to borrow from the digit to the left. So since I can't subtract all four from one, I have to borrow from the two. So here's where our marking starts. And then you put the marked one that you borrow here. That's an 11. 4 from 11 is 7. Now we have to say, okay, now the 7 comes from 1, but you can't take 7 from 1. So we have to borrow. So you're going to borrow from the 6. Mark it out again. There we're marking again. And this becomes a 5. And since you borrowed, you got to put that 1 over here and make that an 11. Now it starts to get a little confusing. And you're starting to wonder, what have I all marked up here? Okay. So 7 from 11 is 4. When you subtract 7 from 11, you end up with 4. I can't take my 8 from my 5, so I've got to borrow again. And you make that a 15. And then 8 from 15 is going to be 7. And then you subtract the 2 from the 4 to give you your 2 for 2,747. Now, it's much easier when we do this in another method that is taught to some Chinese students, and I'm going to show you if you care to learn a different way. So the Chinese young, some of the young, will be taught an alternative way, and they can work these very, very quickly. So this different way is you're taking away what you can take away. So you can't take the full amount away, and then you deal with what's left over. Since most students can subtract from 10, and you can subtract from 10 mentally, so you just do it right up in your head, you make less mistakes. So you just determine the amount that you need to take from that borrowed 10, subtract it, write it down. Then you subtract the additional number needed from 10 to the left when you borrow, and it teaches you the concept of a negative number. Now let's make example 2 a little bit simpler because we want to do an easy one the first time with this new method. 7 cannot be taken from 3, but I can take 3 away. So if I can take 3 away, take it away. And then how many more do you need? So you can do that in your head. So if I take the 3 out of my 7, I need 4 more. So since I need 4 more, I've got to borrow. I've got to take the 4 more from here. And 4 from 10 is 6. And then when I go and think in my mind, can I take 5 from 3. No, but I can take 3 and I need 2 more. And since I'm borrowing, that's going to end up being 8, which will end up being 86 is my answer. Not near as much marking. Now let's do example 1 again, but use this method. Okay, so you remember how we started out. I can't take 4 from 1, but I can take one of them. And then what's left? 3. And then it's going to come from 10. Okay, so I mark that 2 out since I'm borrowing. And the Chinese, when they first do it, they mark these out. Later on, they don't. And I know that 3 comes from a 10. 7. Why 3? Because I've already taken 1 out of the 4, and I have 3 left. Now, the 7 cannot be taken from the 1, but 1 can. So since 1 can be taken from there, what's left? 6. I borrow. And the 6 from 10 is 4. Can I take 8 from 5? No, but I can take 5. What's left if I need 8? 3's left. So I mark that out. And I take 3 from 10. So I mark out my 5, make it a 4. The 3 from 10 is 7. And I can take 2 from 4, which is 2747, which is the same answer that I had when we worked it the long way with all the marks on it. So the more you do this, the easier it will become. It allows students to think about negative numbers because that is a negative number. So up here, when I took the 4 from the 1, it ends up being -3. Take that -3 from 10, you get a 7 here. And then I thought I'd written the 2 down there. It's 2747. All right, so now let's do one more quickly because it should be quicker now. So the 8 from the 4, I can take 4, and I've got 4 left. I need 4 more. The 4 more when I borrow comes from the 10. So let's mark it out and borrow. And the 4 comes from a 10, which is 6. Then I say, okay, 3 from the 8, I can do that. And so I write a 5 down. I just wanted to show you what happens when you can do it. You're not always borrowing. But the 5 from the 2, I cannot. So I can take 2 of them. And what's left? If I need 5 and I take 2, that's 3 left. From 10 is 7. I borrow. I can take 5 out of this 7. And what do I have left? I need 2 more. That 2 more will be an 8. And I borrowed here. And I'm not subtracting. It's 28,756. And that is an easier way. Now you can try 2 problems on your own using this new method and see how that comes out. There'll be a link with the worked solution to the 2 problems in the last 10 seconds of this video. So make sure that you try these problems, and then you can click on that link and then pause it and then check your answers and learn how to subtract like some Chinese students. Make sure you subscribe to my channel on YouTube and follow me on TikTok, and we'll see you next time with Chew Math.